بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Last time we said the mufassir, the exegist, has to have certain types of knowledge and expertise. Do you remember? They were about 10, 11. We put them down. The last one of them is extremely important. Because the one before the last one, you can get them from a teacher, from a school, from a book. But the last one, we said ilmul mawhiba. It's the special gift that God bestows on certain people, selected people. They develop an inner sight. Inner sight. Basira. Inner sight means basira. Basira. And basira is mentioned in the Quran. على بصيرة من أمري. Basira is an inner sight. This is something which is very true when it comes to tafsir. And it cannot be obtained by going to a college, to university, to a seminary, studying under ustad, under a scholar, under mufassir. It comes only and only through self-purification. You have to earn it. You have to earn it spiritually. How? How do you earn it spiritually? Taqwa, piety. And there are scores and scores of verses in the Quran that accentuate this concept. That if you purify yourself, God is going to bestow this gift on you, the basira. Some of them we read last week. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والبغي والمنكر يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. Tadhakkur, you're going to get the tadhakkur if you implement adl. إن الله يأمر بالعدل. إحسان, goodness, kindness. وإيتاء ذي القربى. Be good to your parents, be good to your mother, be good to your father, be good to your siblings, your uncles, your cousins. Dhul Qurba, those are Dhul Qurba. And then stay away. وَيَنْهَى عَنِ الْفَحْشَاءِ, shameful acts. وَالْمُنْكَرِ, any evil act. وَالْبَغْي, injustice. Then you receive tadhkira, tadhakkur. You have to do something inner, not just reading books. Reading books and someone is munafiq or a liar, he would not get that gift. He would not get this. Even if he reads 10,000 books. This has to be earned internally through our conduct, through our piety, through our self-purification. Because God says, this is my book. I would not give this privilege to anyone. I'll give it to selected ones that I know they are trusted. They deserve this gift of understanding my book and translating it, explaining it to others. This is just a special gift. وَهُدُوا إِلَى الطَّيِّبِ. See, وَهُدُوا إِلَى الطَّيِّبِ مِنَ الْقَوْلِ. They have been guided to say the truth. So it did not come from them. God guided them to say the truth. As if God is speaking on their tongue. This is why the Prophet one time said to a person who said something very correct, he said to him, لَقَدْ نَطَقَ الْرُوحُ الْقُدُسِ عَلَى لِسَانِكَ. What is Ruh al-Qudus? Ruh al-Qudus, they say, he's a grand angel, an important angel. Ruh al-Qudus. Not Jibreel. Not Jibreel or Mikael or those angels. Something else called Ruh al-Qudus. God sent this Ruh al-Qudus to protect the Anbiya. Protect them physically and spiritually. He works like a bodyguard. So the Prophet, when that guy said something very correct, very accurate, he said, لَقَدْ نَطَقَ الرُّوحُ الْقُدُسُ عَلَى لِسَانِكَ. What you said by your tongue was from Ruh al-Qudus, not from you. Because you did something good. So it was Ruh al-Qudus who spoke on your tongue, on your behalf.
So protect prophets and imams and pious.
Exactly, and the pious. And the pious. This one is a bodyguard. But not just bodyguard against physical harms, against moral harms.
What does Qudus mean? What's the translation? Ruh al-Qudus?
Holy Spirit.
Holy Spirit.
Holy Spirit. The Christians call it Holy Spirit.
It's an angel.
An angel. This is a special angel.
The angel's name is Ruh al-Qudus? Or, I mean,
See, Laylatul Qadr. تنزل الملائكة والروح. This is Ruh al-Qudus. Not Jibreel. Jibreel is something else.
Yeah.
The whole angels with Ruh al-Qudus.
Okay. But the angel doesn't have a name. This is just a general.
وَأَيَّدْنَاهُ بِرُوحِ الْقُدُسِ. We supported Jesus with Ruh al-Qudus. It's in the Quran.
Okay.
So it's not Jibreel. I always thought it was
No. Other, if you read his description, this is other than Jibreel. This is a bodyguard. This is a special bodyguard protector for the Anbiya, the Awliya. This is his job is to protect.
See,
Yeah.
some people misinterpret this, or do some people misinterpret this as coercion, like people that are...
No.
Listen.
Listen. You earn it. Once you earn it, you are entitled for Ruh al-Qudus to do extra protection. Not something who's lost, who's arrogant, and then God says, okay, I know you are arrogant, you are bad, you are a sinner, I'll send this. No, this is injustice. No, God says this guy, he wants to do good. He does not want to do bad. So the beginning is from him. The first layer of protection is from the person himself, his piety, his taqwa. Then he's added another extra layer of protection from God. No, it's not arbitrary. God will give it to some and doesn't. He will give it to those who deserve it, who worked for it. They get extra bonus. This is extra bonus. In the Quran, we have several verses. One of them, this is very, very, very powerful. Surah Al-A'raf. A'raf is chapter 7, and this verse is 146. This is probably the most powerful verse in the Quran. سأصرف عن آياتي الذين يتكبرون في الأرض بغير الحق. سأصرف. God says, قسم, he takes an oath. Definitely I will turn away from my ayat. Now the ayat are two types. One of them is the Quran, ayat. The other are the truth, the signs of truth. Not necessarily in the Quran, outside, in the nature you can see signs of truth. God says, سأصرف, I will turn away from my ayat, my signs, الذين يتكبرون في الأرض بغير الحق. Those who practice vanity and pride and arrogance without any reason in the land, with no justification. This applies to the tafsir. Someone who's a sinner, impossible he will know the true meaning of Quran. Impossible. Many people ask that, I read the Quran, but the Quran is boring. I don't enjoy it. I am an Arab, I understand Arabic literature, but Quran for me is boring. In fact, his soul is dead. Someone who's arrogant, someone who thrives and survives on cheating, on stealing, on bribes, on backbitings, on jealousy, definitely he would not enjoy the Quran. Definitely he would not enjoy Quran. Quran will be very boring for that person. Very boring. He will enjoy music. He will enjoy dancing. He will enjoy bad words. Zur, qawl az-zur. Qawl az-zur is anything evil. He will enjoy that one. But the Quran, definitely he would not enjoy it. And I tell them sometimes, I tell them, go and check yourself out. Not because there is something wrong with the Quran, there is something wrong with you. Check yourself out. What do you do? Do you do something bad? You know yourself. Check yourself out. So asrif, this is powerful. Another verse, Surah Al-Waqi'ah. Surah Al-Waqi'ah 77. Check it out. Very beautiful. Waqi'ah chapter 56. إنه لقرآن كريم في كتاب مكنون لا يمسه إلا المطهرون. There is two meanings for this. لا يمسه should not be touched unless by those who are purified, meaning wudu. The second, the ta'wil of it, mas, it means does not understand it except those who are spiritually purified. The first one was tafsir, the second one is ta'wil. لا يمسه إلا المطهرون cannot be approached unless by those who are spiritually purified. لا يمسه إلا المطهر. And Imam Ali has something beautiful here, that if someone cannot control himself against sins and desires and hawa, then he cannot enjoy the sweetness, the ta'am, the flavor of the Quran. He would not enjoy it. If he cannot exercise self-control against sins and desires. The other ayah, يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن تتقوا الله يجعل لكم فرقانا. This is very true. If you fear God, Furqan, what is Furqan?
The Quran, right? Or
Furqan, exactly. Criterion of measurement. You know, you have a system where you can detect good from bad or bad from good. You can distinguish. Power of distinction. Do you see sometimes people are confused? They come across certain situations, they don't know what to do. He really doesn't know what to do. Should I buy this or not? Should I go there or not? Should I do this act or not? Some people, they resort to istikhara. Istikhara is also consulting God. But some people, they don't have to resort to istikhara. God has given them the Furqan. They can, they know. They know what is good and what is bad. They never get confused. Anbiya, the prophets, they would never get confused. They have the answer ready. In tattaqu Allah yaj'al lakum. He will gift you with Furqan.
Said, what was
The other ayah, huh?
do you know what surah and ayah that was?
This is this is in Anfal. Anfal, which is number 8, Surah 8, Ayah 29. The other one which is equally important and powerful, this is in Surah Al-Baqarah 282, Ayah 282, chapter 2. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَيُعَلِّمُكُمُ اللَّهُ. Fear God, He will teach you. وَيُعَلِّمُكُمُ اللَّهُ. Very simple. Fear Him, love Him, obey Him, do not disobey Him, do not stride outside His boundaries that He drawn for you. He will teach you, He will guide you. He will guide you. He will be your GPS. And if God becomes your GPS, no more worries in your life. It all depends on ilm al-mawhiba, depends on purifying ourselves, our thoughts too, not just what we say. It's very difficult to control your speech, not to say something nonsense, not to hurt someone, not to speak, not to tell lies, not to exaggerate. It's not easy. And it is not easy too to control your actions, not to do something improper, something hurtful. But what is more important than actions and sayings, the thoughts. This is extremely difficult. This is almost impossible to control your thoughts. Not to think about something bad.
When Sheikh Pasha, when he goes to the masjid, he keeps doing some dhikr, so he doesn't.
Not to think about something bad. Not to think about this lady, even in your dream. Not to think that this guy is wrong. Not to be jealous about him, even in your thoughts. Even if it does not reflect in your actions, even in your thoughts, don't be jealous. Wish goodness for all people. Sometimes you see something bad, someone you want to hit him, but you say no. But sometimes you don't even think of hitting someone, even if they do something bad. This is not easy. This is not easy. Sometimes we don't do a violation, ma'siyah, but in our thoughts we entertain it. We think about it. And sometimes someone does not even think about it. Doesn't think about it, let alone practicing it. This is almost asma. This is ma'soom. This is asma. This is why Ahlul Bayt, because they are ma'soomeen, God has gifted them with this. Because they are ma'soomeen. Others, they are not ma'soomeen. They have desire. And therefore our mufassirin, the mufassirin of the Shia, what made them powerful is because they depended in their tafsir on Ahlul Bayt. Otherwise, if they were not connected to Ahlul Bayt, impossible they can reach this level of tafsir. Impossible, because they are not ma'soom. They don't have that powerful inner sight. And I've seen this is not exaggerated. I've seen many scholars, many ulama. Because of their piety, they have good tafsir. And people like their tafsir. And people learn from their tafsir, not just they like it. Sometimes you like something but you don't follow because of their piety. And others, they are more eloquent, their rhetoric, their grammar, their language, but people don't get affected by them because he's not practicing what he's preaching.
Is this related to tafsir or ta'wil?
Both. See, Dr. Umid, when we say tafsir, it means both. The broad term, the broad meaning of tafsir, which incorporated both tafsir and ta'wil. Yeah, definitely. It's ilm al-Quran, the secrets of the Quran. The secrets of the Quran. The inner sight of the Quran. Not the surface meaning. Surface meaning, a polytheist can understand it. No, there is something deeper. And this is why the hadith says, if you can write this down, إن الله سبحانه وتعالى قسم. This is in وسائل الشيعة. إن الله سبحانه وتعالى, Amir al-Mu'mineen says, قسم كلامه ثلاثة أقسام. He has divided his words into three sections. فجعل قسما منه يعرفه العالم والجاهل. One section is the basic. All people know it. The scholar, the non-scholar, they understand it. This is the first section. The second one, وقسما لا يعرفه إلا من صفى ذهنه ولطف حسه وصح تمييزه. The second one is higher. Not anyone is entitled to know it except those who have sharp intelligence and peace of mind, and they are very clever and smart. ممن شرح الله صدره للإسلام, and those that God had opened their breast for faith. The third one, وقسما, the third one, لا يعلمه إلا الله وأمناؤه والراسخون في العلم. The third section, only God and those who are trustworthy with Him and those who are well versed, راسخون في العلم, they know it. Even those who are sharp-minded cannot get the third section. They cannot get it. Okay? Now, my friend, can you give an example of things that only God knows them? He mentions them in the Quran.
Ruh.
Exactly. Ruh. One of them is Ruh. Ruh is very mysterious. No matter how much we study about it and investigate, still, nafs, mysterious. How many psychologists we have? Millions. How many theories they have? Psychological theories, millions. Many of them are wrong. Many of them are wrong. They reach this conclusion after 40 years that, oh, half of my theories are wrong. I thought that this is the character of the nafs, but it turns out to be no, it's not true. Ruh is something very mysterious. How does it exist before our birth? While we are born, while we live, after our death, where does it go? Part of it, part of the ruh, the dreams that you see. How many dreams you see, how many peoples you meet, how many places you go. What are they all nonsense? Or some of them are good, some of them are bad? What does that mean? Why did you meet this person, not others? There is no relationship between you and him. Why did you see him? From among millions of people, why did you see this person? A lady called me last week. I don't speak to her normally. Her husband called and then he said she wants to talk to me. She said, today I was serving tea to a man who was visiting, stranger, not family related. So part of my arm, part of the sleeves, it was removed and, part of my arm. So I felt very embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. And she said, I slept that night. I saw you, Sayyid Mustafa, in the dream, telling me, cover yourself. So I said, subhanAllah, during the day, I was so upset. And now the Sayyid is telling me, cover yourself. How does he know? I know nothing about that. Wallahi. But there is some connection. What is it? I don't know. I don't know it myself. Maybe Sayyid Mustafa is a symbol, not himself literally. It meant himself. Symbol, an indication of something. It happens in your dreams. Don't you see such dreams? They are not all nonsense. No, some of them. This is why in the Quran, Surah Yusuf, we spoke about one of the meanings of ta'wil is the interpretation of the dreams. Allah gives this power of interpretation to the Anbiya. But still the Anbiya, many of them, they don't understand the meaning of the soul. Very mysterious. Yes?
Maulana, is it there a distinction between ruh and nafs?
They wrote books on this. Which one is bigger than the other? Which one is more powerful? Which one is the one this is guiding? They wrote. They wrote books on this, theories. Said Muhammad Hussein Tabatabai is one of them. Okay? So, this is one. Or Qiyamah, still, where is it? Where is it? How big it is? How big is it? Where is the Jannah? Where is the... If the Jannah, عرضها كعرض, it's the size of it, it's like the heaven and earth. Then where is the fire? How they are related to each other? Is one lower, one above the other, one lower than the other? How can they see each other? We don't know these things. We cannot even understand them. The qabr, what happens in the qabr? How much they tell us about death? What do we see at the time of death? We don't know. Do we really feel the pain? We don't feel the pain. Or is it different from one person into another? What happens in the qabr? How does they interrogate us? These things, we hear them, but we can't, We can't fully understand them. Now, we come to something which is, they spoke about it extensively, which is التفسير بالرأي. التفسير بالرأي. And opinionated. Depends on your opinion. What does that mean?
You do tafsir based on your understanding and also your hawa.
Exactly. And there are plenty of ahadith that are reprimanding and threatening the one who does the tafsir with his opinion. And I will say exactly what it's meant by opinion. How do we distinguish? Then does tafsir mean everything we hear from the imam we have to say it? If we did not hear it from the imam we should not say it? Or something else? We will come to this. So one of them is من قال في القرآن برأيه فأصاب فقد أخطأ. If you translate the Quran with your own opinion, even if you say correct, you are wrong. Even if you give the correct answer. من تكلم في القرآن برأيه فليتبوأ مقعده من النار. Let him reserve his seat in the hellfire. So how do we go about that? What does that mean? In this, because of this, many people, they said, no, I'm not going to do tafsir al-Quran. I stay away from it. Not contemporary, even ancient ones.
So that was a hadith actually?
Yeah. These are the one I read, they are hadith.
Okay.
Do you want me to say the English translation or the Arabic?
No, the translate the Quran in your own opinion, it's incorrect and reserve a seat in hell.
Yes. The second one, من قال في القرآن, the first one, من قال في القرآن, whoever gives his personal opinion about the Quran, even if he said it correct, he is wrong. فقد أخطأ. Now, what does it mean exactly? What does it mean exactly, tafsir bil-ra'i, using your opinion? What does it mean? Because this is confusing. It means two things. Number one, manipulating the Quran to your own interests. Manipulation, number one. Manipulation. Meaning that someone believes in an idea, he made it up, he invented it. Then he brings verses from the Quran to support his own argument, his own philosophy, his own opinion, his own school of thought, his own direction. This is manipulation.
Out of context.
Out of context, definitely. He invented the idea. And then he brings something from the Quran to support his argument. This is manipulation.
So say that there's a bit of subjectivity here because you can intentionally do it, which is what manipulation is, and then there's unintentional, right, where you have the best.
So unintentional, you should not do that. You should not, if you are not sure, don't use the Quran. Don't use a verse. Still, if maybe his intention is good, like some of the fabricators of hadith, they told them, listen, he said, if you read the Quran, you're going to get this and this and this, and Allah. They said to him, is this the hadith of the Prophet? He said, no. I invented this hadith because I saw people not reading the Quran. I felt sorry for the Quran. So I said, let me invent a hadith to encourage them to read the Quran. So his intention was good. He wanted the Quran to be read. But who tells you God would accept that? Who tells you God would accept fabrication so people can read the Quran? So even if his intention is good, but he's manipulating, still wrong. You should not do that. We have to try to be precise. You know what happens to us, we the humans? When we embrace an idea, we become very radical about it. So we try to find evidences for it, wherever we find. Sometimes scientific, even if we know the one who said it is crazy. But because this is a scientific evidence which is not proven, because I want to prove my point, I go and bring it. This is not right. Quran teaches us that you have to be precise and accurate. Don't try to support your argument just because it's your argument and you want to support. Some surveys, they are not good. Let's say I'm preparing a lecture and I want to speak about let's say that the danger of, let's say, smoking, okay? And there are some things being said about smoking. Some of them are true. Some of them just surveys. People put figures. Or wine, let's say wine. Wine is better. Because wine, some people support the wine, okay? Doctors, they say it's healthy. And I try to prove them they are wrong. So I manipulate the figures, let's say. I manipulate the figures. This is not right. You have to speak the truth. Let's say, the majority of people say wine good, minority say bad. I come and I switch this. I say majority of doctors in the survey, they say wine is bad. Small minority, they say it's good. This is a lie. Even though I try to support it for a good argument so people do not drink, but God does not want me to do this. God says, speak the truth. People want to follow. Even inshallah, 100% of doctors, they say wine is very healthy. God says it's not healthy, not healthy. I don't believe the doctors, I believe God. Are you with me? So, manipulation is one of them. When they manipulate the verse to their own ends. They invent something, they need a support. They bring it from the Quran. Whereas this verse really does not support their argument correctly. See what I like about this book that we studied, Qawa'id al-Fiqhiyya? The author is very precise. He said, yes, the ayah says think good about the people. But that I cannot use it for my argument. It's not very precise. See, this is amana. He's trustworthy. Not only he's sharp, though he's desperate to find an evidence to support him, but if he knows inside that this ayah is not very precise, he's going to say this is not very precise. This is amana. They call it amana ilmiya, scientific trustworthiness. Scientific trustworthiness. This is the problem between Shia and Sunnis now. Sunnis, they know some of the ahadith are fabricated, but they still repeat them on the minbar because they are anti-Shia. Shia sometimes, they know this hadith is weak about Imam Ali, about Imam al-Sadiq, but because it's anti-Sunni, they know it's not authentic hadith, but they bring it. They use it to support their argument. This is not good. This is not good. So this is one, manipulation, huh?
Politics.
Politics, yeah, politics. Politics. So this is number one. And this is number one. Number two is despotism about using the Quran. Despotism, istibdad. Istibdad. Istibdad in using his opinion. For instance, again, this is similar to manipulation, but he believes in one tafsir which is contrary to all people. Contrary to all. And there is no evidence for his tafsir in the riwayat of our imams. Neither in the tradition of ulama. He wants to be unique. He wants to stand unique. So people point at him. Oh, look at him. He knew things that none of those 5,000 people knew. Look at his genius. Istibdad. This is also dangerous.
So I don't see contrary.
Now, sometimes he says, listen, I have evidence here. I am depending on a hadith which is authentic by the Imam. It says about this ayah. So he has an evidence. This is not istibdad. But when he lacks an evidence, so he says, this is my opinion with no evidence. With no evidence to support it. Then this is tafsirun bil-ra'y. And his tafsir goes against the norms. Sometimes the Imam did not say it. We are not, am I saying that your tafsir should always have roots with the Imams? Huh? Did I say this?
Not always, but
Not always. Sometimes I don't find a riwayah to support. But it is aligned with other traditions. It's not something abnormal. It is something acceptable. It goes with the 10 knowledges that we put here on the board. I went through this. I went through norms and regulations. I did not say something abnormal. Then this is not tafsir bil-ra'y because I followed the rules and regulations. Even though the Imam didn't say it, but I followed the process. I reached that through a process, legitimate, acceptable process. But sometimes I did not go through a process. My opinion, my desire. This is hawa. This is called hawa. And I insist on this. Neither there is evidence in a riwayah, nor did I follow the rules and regulations. This is istibdad. This is intellectual despotism. Istibdad fikri. And I have examples in some scholars like that. He brings up a fatwa. Where do you bring the fatwa? What is it? Do you have ayah for this? No. Riwayah? No. Any other scholar before you? It's called precedence. No precedence. Okay, did you go through this classical path, process of derivation? No. Then why? Just because you want to stand out, unique, bring something new, unconventional, so people say, wow, look at this, mashallah, alim. Definitely, he probably has connection. He knows the what's up of Jibreel. There are some of them like that. Okay, so these are 2 points here. This is tafsirun bil-ray. Number 1, to manipulate. He already has an idea. He wants the Quran to support him. Not that he wants to support the Quran. Vice versa. He wants God to support his idea. Not that he supports God's ideas. This is there. The second is bringing up tafsir with no evidence. Not only not evidence, no process, no due process. This is called tafsirun bil-ray. Because uqala, the rational people, they have a way of reaching out to the Quran. They have to go through certain channels, tariqah, special tariqah, to do tafsir. If someone wants to, kick all these tariqahs away and does not follow that tradition, then he's not mufassir. Then he is interpreting the Quran according to his own desire. Baseless desire. Baseless. Has no base. This is, let him reserve his seat in the hellfire. Any question here?
But wouldn't be, sometimes putting limits into the way you do things remove, not creativity, I don't want to say creativity in this sense, but having the ability to reach further.
The courage.
Yeah, but if you use a due process,
the
then you
courage
could do
to-
it. You're saying, right?
Yeah, if you use the due process. Yeah. I'll give you an example. Some people, they produce a tafsir through what they call istihsan. What is istihsan? Istihsan. It means, I like this idea. It makes sense to me. Makes sense. So since it makes sense, then definitely God, this is what God meant. Because it makes sense to me. Like Umar, when he came into the mosque, people were doing nawafil. He didn't like this anarchy. So when he did nawafil jama'ah, he said, this is good. Masjid is organized. This is called istihsan. Okay? Or when he did the 3 divorces in one session, Quran says, don't do 3 divorces. If a husband and wife are fighting each other, the husband cannot say to his wife, you are divorced 3 times in one session. Why? Because if he says so, and then he regrets, he wants to go back to her, can he go back or not? He cannot. She has to go and marry someone, sleep with him, and then if that guy divorces her, then she comes back to her family again. So God says, I know people are crazy, they get mad at each other. So we have to do that in 3 different, separated sessions. If today he divorces her, 1 time, then he can go back to her after a while. Then he divorces her 2nd time, then he can go back to her after a while. Then if he divorced her the 3rd time, then as a punishment for him and her, because they are treating divorce like, a game, Then if he wanted to come back to her, he cannot come unless حتى تنكح زوجا غيره. She does nikah with another person, and if that person divorces her, then she comes back to her children and her husband. Umar said, you can do it Federal Express, all three of them in one session. So when he was asked why, he said, istihsan, because I'm trying to make it easy for people. Do it 3 times, get rid of her. Now God did not want to make things easy. He liked the idea. Why? Because people started to get, he said, because there was an epidemic of divorce during his time. So he wanted people to finalize their divorce, khalas. So he allowed them to have 3 divorces at once. This is what many of them are doing today. أنت طالق بالثلاث. I am divorcing you 3 times in one session. They call us here sometimes. Wallahi al-azim. The other day a lady called. She said, I'm a Sunni, but I know this is Ja'fari, and I heard that the Ja'faris, they don't recognize the 3 divorces at once. Is this true or not? I said, yes. Not just the Ja'fari. Read the Quran. الطلاق مرتان فإمساك بمعروف أو تسريح بإحسان فإن طلقها, the 3rd time, then she cannot go back to him until. It's not me, it's the Quran. She says, wow, this is a solution because my husband divorced me 3 times and I don't want to go and sleep with someone else. Neither he wants. I have children. I said to her, no, you can't. It's considered one divorce, so you can go back to her.
Usually if you say it like that, it sounds like out of bad emotion, like you mentioned. Why would
Yeah.
you want to say 3? If you say 1 divorce,
Yeah, but because he's so angry.
Yeah.
He wants to finalize, he wants to destroy all the bridges.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go back to you 3 times. Boom. 3 times. They do it. You know how many homes are destroyed by this madness? How many children they get lost? How many marriages they are ruined by this? But in some countries, Sunni countries, they don't accept. Egypt and India. Do you know that? India, which is non-Muslim country, they said Muslims here, they cannot divorce their wives
That was just recently.
thrice. Yes, last year or 2 years ago in one session. We cannot accept that. The court does not accept that.
Well, what about aqad? We were talking about last time. You got to recognize the other culture as valid. We're talking about the Christian recognizing.
Oh, Habibi, this is not a culture. This is madness. You can't accept this. This destroys the...
Yeah, no, I get it. I totally get it. I'm just compared to the...
Take it easy. We just were complimenting you, saying, yeah, don't, Habibi. Have good ideas and good, yeah. This is in a preparation for your marja'iyah. Okay. So this is through istihsan, which is istihsan is a personal desire, personal hawa. I like this idea. I'll give you an example. Now, here in the West, we are frequently asked about wife beating. Why does your book, Surah An-Nisa, permits men to hit their wives? So I was listening to someone on the radio. Good, he's a friend of mine at the same time. But he was not speaking the truth. He was not speaking the truth. أنا الآن بالدرس بعد شوية أخلص اتصلوا بي. أنا الآن وسط الدرس. So I heard him saying, no, this is not true. Quran never said hit your wife. He said to him, but it's in your book, this chapter, Surah An-Nisa. He said, no. Dharb means leave them and walk away. But it's not like that, no. When you read it, it's about hitting. So why do you want to? Just because istihsan, the West does not like this idea? No, there is another solution for it. You say, yes, this verse does exist, but it is not mandatory. God never said this is mandatory. God said this is an advisory. you follow these steps. Okay? فَاهْجِرُهُنَّ فِي الْمَضَاجِعِ. Don't عِظُهُنَّ, advise them. If they don't share bed. If they don't, then hit them. But they explain the way it is being hit. They explain it. The fuqaha, if you read their books, what I say you don't have to follow this. It's not mandatory. Probably this was for certain women, certain culture who understand this language. But in America, they don't understand this. Then leave it. Go to the court, divorce her. You don't have to do this. Rather than saying, no, this thing does not exist. This is istihsan. This is not good. This is ra'i. This is tafsir bil ra'i. This is baseless. It's there in the Quran. It's in the Quran, but all the ulama, they say this is not mandatory. One of them, the Prophet did not practice this. None of our imams practice this. So it's not mandatory. Maybe, I say maybe this solution suits certain societies, certain mentalities, certain women, certain men, but not universal. But don't say this does not exist. This is tafsir bil-ra'i, which is unacceptable. وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.